Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining myself and Martin for this Zoom Q&A with Martin.
You've gone all slow down.
If we have a bit of time, and if so I will do my best. So hopefully, how much time have you got, Jono?
Not going anywhere, mate.
Okay, cool.
Have you not heard?
That's what we'd like to do, if it's okay.
Have you not heard what's going on?
If it's, yeah. I am from the third world. So all being well, we might do open the floor to the boys and maybe can ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So just for some of them who aren't old enough.
All of them are not old enough.
We're old enough. We actually have got some of the younger players online as well. So Martin played and captained Leicester, England and British and Irish Lions. Played 362 games for Leicester Tigers, 84 caps for England, 8 caps for the Lions, and coached the England team and if you ever need a friend in a quiz, he's brilliant at answering sports questions.
I never played for Old Grammarians.
No, he never played, but he has been to Old Grammarians. So the format today is going to be very much a Q&A. I received a load of questions, not just from our age group, from the kids from the lower age groups and kids from older age groups, and some coaches and some parents. So if I don't ask your questions, please accept my apologies, because there were a lot of similar questions. And I have used a bit of a poetic license in some of the questions that were posed.
Come on, Bell. Sean's going here.
No, Sean's going to post. He's always like that. So the first question is going to be really nice and easy, Jono, just to get you going. The Underwood family. This is from them. Can you remember spending the summer week with them in Sardinia? A simple yes or no would be great, because he keeps testing me that he says he spent the whole week with you in that training camp.
Well, it's not a training camp, it's a nice holiday, and we do a bit of training and have good fun, hopefully.
Yeah. He says he apparently spent a lot of time in the bar with you. I'm not quite sure who's telling the truth here.
I don't spend that much time in the bar.
No. We've had a lot of questions. Yeah. We've had a lot of questions from the younger kids and also the older kids about captaincy.
Yeah.
And can you just let the boys know when you became the England captain, how did Sir Clive Woodward come to you and say, right, John, I would like you to be the captain? Was there much of a discussion? How did it come about? Because there is a bit of a backstory.
There is, but
some of us may.
There is, but we won't go there.
Okay.
He phoned me up and said, I want you to be England captain, we're going to Australia. I said, all right. That was it. Wasn't much more than that, really.
Right.
I think a lot gets made of captaincy, and yeah, you do need a good captain. But I think the best thing you can do as a captain is play well, just be yourself, and just get on with it and get the guys together. You know, you need. It's a team game. It's the best team game in the world, I think, rugby. Everyone needs to do their job. Everyone needs to understand what they're doing, and everyone needs to get on with it. Sometimes decisions need to be made, and that's what the captain has to do, or the 10, or whoever's doing them, scrum half. But if you have a good team, then it makes it easy. I always say I wasn't a great captain. I just had played in good teams, very good teams.
I mean, Miles, who's aged 11, his question to you was, obviously, it might be a personal thing. So how do you make players listen to you?
Miles, I grabbed them by the testicles. Who's awake? Who's listening? No, I don't, Miles. That would be wrong. I try not. You try not to speak too much. I think when you first become a captain, you shout and scream, and you want to tell everyone everything. I think sometimes less is more. So if there's something important that needs to be said, then get your point over, but don't just speak for the sake of it. And sometimes let other people say something. Yeah. Sometimes a guy doesn't say anything all year, might have something to say, and be more impact if he suddenly comes out with something than the same person saying something all the time. Because often it's the same message, you just got to try and deliver it in different ways. So don't overspeak, don't go on too long, short, sharp points, and if they don't listen, clip them around the back of the ear, Miles.
So if you were the OG's under-16s coach next season,
yeah,
what would you look for in terms of qualities to lead your team? What's the major you would see in the players that are right?
Number one thing.
He's my leader.
Number one thing in anything in life is what? To be a good rugby player, what do you need to have? I can't hear you. So, enthusiasm. You want to be a good rugby player. So to be a leader, you've got to want to go out there and play and be successful and win. That's the number one thing. You might not be a natural leader. I wasn't a natural leader, I don't think. But you want to be enthusiastic and go out there, and every time you train, every time you play, go out there, play well, train well, and want to be successful. You're not always going to win everything. We know that. No one does. But have enthusiasm and be yourself. Yeah, we're all different, thankfully, and we need all sorts in the team, and that's the enjoyment of it. Different personalities, different characters. Let everyone be themselves. But as long as you're all going out there, working hard when it's time to work hard, play hard when it's time to play hard, having good time, enjoying your company, having a laugh, taking the mickey out of each other, all those good things, and having fun. That's what it's all about. At any level, even at the top level, you've got to have those same traits. Yes, it gets more serious and more pressure and more technical, but fundamentally, it's just 15, 20 guys, whatever it is, playing rugby.
I think best way to probably for me to say this to the boys, which we often do, it's when it's serious, when you're on the pitch, you go out and do the job that you need to do. When you're off the pitch, you have a bit of fun and enjoy the training, which is the key to it. I think if you can do that, we'll go a long way.
Your internet's a bit slow.
I've got a question from Oscar, who is it? No, I think it's just everybody else is online. So well, mine's on my hotspot. Let me switch my phone off and other telecommunications.
Yours is a bit slow, by the way.
Okay, so we're just trying to switch things off. Hopefully this will get a bit better.
Turn the tap off.
If there's any, if it is, yeah.
You're the bath running.
My 50p. 50p. Put the 50p in. So Oscar, who's now under 12s, would like to know who were the inspirational leaders you looked at when you were growing up and playing rugby, and perhaps you played against.
Well, I just did what you guys will do. I played rugby and watched TV and watched all the big names play. And then when I got into Leicester's team, we had a captain called Dean Richards who was inspirational in his own way. He wasn't a great trainer. He wasn't a great talker, but he just went and played really, really well every week. And we all really sort of followed his example on the field. So yeah, just the same as you guys, just the guys that were playing, the guys who were in the England team. I was captained by a guy called Will Carling in the England team when I got in there, who'd been, was a very experienced England captain, and he was very different to a guy like Dean, but that was fine. He was still a good captain. So I think you're always taking everything in all the time from people, not just captains, not just leaders, just from everyone, and you absorb everything. But ultimately, like I said, you've got to be you. You can pick up bits, but you've just got to be you and do things your way, and that's fine. As I said, if you're doing it for the right reasons, for everyone to be successful, for the team, the team always comes first. The team always comes first. That's the great thing with rugby. It's a game where some guys do work that no one else sees, no one else appreciates from the outside, apart from the guys you play with. So at the end of the game, some guy might have scored 3 tries or he's dropped the winning goal or whatever he did, but he doesn't win. You don't win without everyone doing their job. So that's the great thing with rugby. Everyone appreciates what everyone else does, even the dirty work.
I mean, And I mean, you were talking earlier about different leaders, and sometimes not saying anything can be more effective than rambling on about things. I don't know if, sorry to hop on about the Olders. Did you ever play in that game down at Bristol in the amateur days? I think Bristol were just in the first few minutes scored against us, and we were standing behind the post for Dean to say something. And I can't remember who it was, but wasn't focused, and Dean just smacked him in the face. And I think we went on to win that game quite comfortably after that.
Is this suitable for under 16?
One of the mums, it is. We train them hard up in North London. One of the mums, Debbie Bloom, which is kind of a similar question to Oscar, but she'd like to know, was anybody outside of rugby that you looked up to, man or woman, who you thought, yeah, they're very inspirational people that I should be looking up to, and perhaps taking a few things away from them?
Yeah, good question, actually. And when she said woman, my mom was an athlete, so she trained incredibly hard. She ran marathons and things like that. So I'd see her running and doing really long, tough training sessions.
You better expand on that marathon. Yeah. And I think you better expand on that marathon, but because she used to do ultra.
Yeah, she used to run 100K races and all these crazy things. So she trained incredibly hard. So I was lucky that I had a parent who was used to really hard work. And she didn't get any reward. She didn't get to play in teams. It was just because she enjoyed doing it. So yeah, I think there's lots of influences all the time. But I was lucky. My mum taught me how to train quite hard from a young age. And she'd do a lot of running, and that's the way I grew up doing, a lot of fitness training. So by the time I got to 16, 17, I was used to doing it.
Her husband Andy wants to know, who did you want to punch most when you played against?
I didn't want to punch anyone, Aadel.
I know.
I'm not like that at all.
Andy's a banker, by the way, so I don't know if that means anything. There's been a lot of questions as well. The boys wanting to know, people talk about leaders on and off the pitch. Can you tell them a bit what you want to see for leaders off the pitch, as much as you've spoken about players on the pitch?
You just do the right things. You understand what the right thing is to do. And there might be something going on that needs sorting out. You just do the right thing. You don't have to be, the teacher or whatever, but you just do the right things. You understand what the right thing is, and you do it, and you lead in that way, whatever it is. And it's just being a decent bloke, isn't it? Being a decent person, off the field, being open. I've been talking to people. You're not superior because you're the captain. It's a role and a responsibility you have to take on, and you should just set an example. And it shouldn't be onerous. You shouldn't have to be goody two shoes, but you should just set a good example in what you do and try and do the right things.
There's a couple of questions going back to 2003 World Cup, and one of the questions from one of our coaches, Andy Garrard. Apparently your team talk was inspirational, but apparently what you said to the boys was to go out and beat up the Aussies. He would like to know if that's true or not.
No. We had I think people love these mythical stories about teams. When you get to a World Cup final, we know you're in the biggest game. Everyone understands that. And a lot of it is just making sure everyone's in the right frame of mind. And when you play a big game, some guys can try too hard and try to do too much. And other guys potentially can go the other way and not play their normal game. And the only message really I had for the guys was, let's just play our normal game. Let's do what we do. We'd won lots of games. We were used to beating Australia. So the bigger the game you play, the occasion will motivate you. The occasion will motivate you to play well. You're in a final, whatever, semi-final, big game. But go and do what you do. Go and do what you do. Go and play how you play. Now, if you need to change it during the game, that's one thing. But go out and do what you do. Play well. All do your job. And that will all come together, and that will result in a good performance. Don't worry about the end. Are we going to win? Are we going to lose? I want to just go out and do your job. Go out and play your game. Do what you need to do. So that was a message we had against Australia. We'd played them a lot. We'd beaten them, I think, four times on the trot before the final. But all of those games were relatively close, and we could have lost some of them. So you're going to be in a tough game, and at times they will score and they might be ahead and all those things. But, let's keep doing what we're good at and what we want to do. Don't get knocked out of our stride until we decide to change. And if we need to change something, we'll make that call. But ultimately, go and play your game. So there's no... A lot of the time in a final, it's about thinking. It's about thinking properly and not getting carried away. You only got that one game, and it can be over very quickly. And you don't want to be thinking the next day or after the game, oh, I should have done this. You want to be really focused and thinking, and the rest of it will take care of itself. That's a long answer. Ethan's gone. Oh, he's back.
Yeah. Did you ever? Yeah. Did you ever have? You're obviously sitting in your hotel room the night before, think about what you were going to say, and arriving in the change room the following day thinking, actually, I'm not going to say that. I feel a different vibe within the team.
Yeah, I'd always go with how I felt at the time. So actually in the changing room, I didn't really say a lot. I almost said that. I said, boys, what can we say to each other? We're here. Let's go out and do what we do. A few of the guys have commented in the years since that when we walked out into the tunnel, I normally would turn around and say something. And I didn't do this consciously. I don't even remember really doing it, but they said, as we walked out of the tunnel, I turned around and didn't say anything. And they all took that as a sign that, we're ready and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't even do it consciously that I can remember. So, I think some of these things, I just went with gut really more than planning anything to say. Just went with the feel. We were ready. It felt right. And let's just go and play. Let's just go and play. As I said, not overplay, but let's not go into our shells either.
A question from John Dingle, allegedly age 46. He wants to know, how hard did you squeeze the Aussie Prime Minister's hand when he gave you the World Cup trophy? Bob Hawke, wasn't it?
Sorry? He was a bit grumpy, wasn't he, the Australian Prime Minister when we won it. But I didn't. Look, his state of mind at that point was not of my concern. So we're just happy to win it and get the trophy. And in a strange way, I always say to people, when you watch someone win something, everyone remembers people lifting the trophy. I remember watching World Cups and FA Cups when I was a kid, watching the same thing. When you actually do it, it wasn't what it was all about for me, really. It wasn't the big moment, of lifting the trophy. That was just part of the ceremony afterwards. It's actually doing it and playing the game and winning the game and going through the whole thing is a memory for me. So I'm not bothered about personally lifting the trophy. I'd have let any other player in that team do it. It's not the ego trip of lifting the trophy. It's the enjoyment of achieving and doing things with the guys. I'm not just saying that, honestly.
You want to? Yeah. Do you want to talk to the boys the amount of preparation that you guys went through? I'm not talking about a couple of weeks before, but probably the whole process started 3-4 years before the 2003 World Cup final. Yeah,
in a way, but the whole process started when you first picked up a rugby ball, didn't it? Your whole rugby career. That was my last game for England. I was 33 when we won it, so it was my final international. So it was almost like my whole rugby career. Everything you learn from day one up until that very last second all goes into that. But that's the same for everyone. Your whole career, your whole life is behind you, and you go with what you learn. That's what we can do as people, isn't it? We can learn things and improve and get better and remember, and hopefully when we get something wrong, we get it right the next time or the time after when it finally gets into our head. So, you know, the process, people talk about the preparation and all the rest of it. You know, we trained hard, we were very fit. We'd been through lots of games. We'd learned from lots of mistakes of losing games. And we got ourselves in a position where we were very difficult to beat. We could play the game in different ways. We could beat you in a number of ways, so we weren't predictable. And we were resilient, we were tough. We were behind in a lot of games in the World Cup. I think we conceded the first try in 4 games during the tournament and we're behind. So, but we had confidence in ourselves that we could, if we kept on doing what we're doing, eventually we'd beat teams. So that preparation is the whole thing: the training, the playing, the winning, the losing, the anguish, the joy, everything goes into it.
Yeah.
There's an elegant answer there, Del.
Jake. Yeah. Jake Sperry, who's one of our younger players in the squad, wants to know how many beers you drank on the flight home.
I didn't think I had one, Jake. I just wanted to enjoy it. Maybe one, but I didn't. I just wanted to enjoy it and take it all in. You know, it's gone so quick. When you win something, you know, you're in the changing room and you're all happy, and then you drift out the changing room, and before you know it, it's the next day, then it's the 2 days, and it's a week, and it's a month, and then it's 17 years, Jake, and you get old and you're wearing specs. So I just wanted to take it all in. I just wanted to take it all in, enjoy it, and try and remember it all. And because unless you're very, very lucky, you only get to do it once. And if you're very, very lucky, you get to do it once.
Yeah.
So no, even the night after the game, I had a few drinks, but I wanted to remember it all and be, you know, be there.
Couple of more technical questions from one or two coaches.
That was a technical question, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry. I thought, the fact that you only had a couple of beers the night after the final?
That's Australian beer as well. It's horrible.
I witnessed it. Adam Herringshaw, who's one of our under-7s coaches, he says, should we be coaching kids like how Tiger or the Williams sisters were coached as young kids? Or do we expose them to all sports? What are your thoughts about that?
I think, again, the great thing with rugby is not like tennis or swimming. I've got friends whose kids swim, gymnastics, huge amount of volume required to do those sports. You know, you're training hours and hours. The great thing with rugby, it's a game, so we can enjoy ourselves when we train. And I think when you're young, and even when you're older, enjoy your training. Playing tag rugby and touch rugby is one of the best ways to get the ball in your hands, to make decisions about passing, to be running at defenders, defending. The more you can have the ball in your hands and playing rugby, the better it is. So I think the more you can do that, I know we live in an age where everyone wants to do drills all the time, which is great, but I think the more you can be in realistic rugby situations with the ball in your hands, catching and passing, the better. And when you're at home, just, you know, have the rugby ball in your hands, just chuck it around, just get used to it being in your hands, catching it, passing it, how it feels. The more comfortable you are with the ball, the better. I think whatever position you think you might play, catch, run, pass, the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah.
Get your hands up, catch it in your hands and pass it. It's something we expect everyone to be able to do, and we don't practice it enough. You only get good by practicing. Yeah, these guys who look great on the TV make it look easy. They do it because they practice a lot. Yeah, there's nothing more to the game than the fundamental skills. I think kids think, oh, I've got to do all these fancy passes, throw over my head, catch it, pass it, run, tackle, kick. It's the same in any game. The truth is that the higher level you get to, if you can't do that, you won't get picked at the higher level, because your fundamental skills, the first thing that'll get under pressure is your fundamental rugby skills. Can you catch it and pass it, tackle under the pressure of faster, quicker, bigger, and all the rest of it? If you can't do that, tactics, strategy, all the rest of it's out the window because your fundamental skills have fallen to bits. So when you play test matches, I got told this when I was quite young, and I sort of had to get there to understand it. They're actually in a silly way, they're actually simple to play because you get so little time. You've just got to do what you can do in split seconds, and that's all. You don't have as big an influence as you do when you're under 16 and coming up, because everyone's a good player, everything's super quick, everyone's super big, everyone's skillful. So you've just got to do your job, and if you can't do it, then you might be able to throw a little reverse little. You don't get a chance to do that in test matches very often. It's do your job, do your skill, crack on. So I forgot what your original question was, Del, but I've ranted on there for 5 minutes.
We'll move on then. A question from Nigel, one of our coaches, Nigel Wellings and Andy Garrett again. Would you like to see any changes made to age grade rugby so that we produce better players?
My little boy plays at school, and they probably play similar, different rules maybe to the club stuff. I think anything that can encourage the skill element of it, as I just said there, the catch, pass, run. When if you're, I watch my boy play. He's 11. Some kids are more developed at 11 than others. That's just the way it is. Aadel looked like that when he was 12. Right? He had a full beard when he was 12. That is, so I'm a year or two younger than Del. So when I came up through the schoolboy ranks, everyone was talking about this guy who had a full beard when he was 13, playing for England schoolboys. I got told, one of the best things I ever got told, I was quite big, and I had a sports master. He said, look, you're quite big and you can run through everyone when you're 12, 13. But if you go up the levels and when people get bigger and better at tackling, you'll get tackled. So practice your skills, practice your passing, because otherwise you're just a one-trick pony. And once you're not bigger than everyone, you haven't got any skill. And I think that's dead right. So the more you can encourage, if you're big and everyone's not so big, it's easy. Rugby's easy. You can run through everyone and you look great. Unless you're going to be Jonah Lomu or some monster, people will catch you up. Their tackling will get better. And then suddenly you haven't got that. So, I often, when I talk to mums and dads and their kids are small, I say that's great because he's going to learn to be quick and skillful, at that age. Otherwise he's not going to run headlong into everyone and try and blast everyone out of the way. He's going to use his skills. So yes, if you're big and strong and powerful, great. And you can use that and we need that, but also practice your skills, practice putting someone else into space, giving and receiving passes. You can't do that enough. I think I've already said that, but I'll say it again.
So, interesting leads on to a question one of the dads has asked, Ed Pope. Ed wants to know if there's 3 things that you would say to a player that can do outside of his training. What would be those 3 things?
Do outside of his training?
Yeah.
I suppose he means outside of what training does at his club.
Yeah.
Look, I say to kids all the time, it's up to you what you want to do. I enjoyed running around with my rugby ball when I was a kid, kicking it in the air, chasing it, bouncing it, passing it. But it's up to you. If you want to do that, fine. It's not compulsory. The great thing with rugby is, if you want to go down to your local junior rugby club, turn up once a week and train, turn up on a Saturday and have a game, brilliant. Enjoy that if that's what you want to do. If you want to be good and go and play higher level, then you're going to have to practice. Now, I enjoyed practicing. I enjoyed doing it. So it wasn't a hardship. It wasn't work. It wasn't, I've got to go training. I loved it. So that made it okay. So as I said, as you're getting older now, you get into 16, 17, you can start doing training. And there's a huge amount of information out there now. When I was a kid, no one really knew how to train properly in rugby. No one really lifted weights. No one, it was very, very amateur. It's a different world. There's an internet there. There's a million people putting out stuff. Get some advice you trust from people you trust in terms of what you want to do at the right level when you're that age, and start doing some training. Don't get caught in the whole weights thing of looking I'm massive, I can bench press loads, I must be a good rugby player. Some of the best rugby players I ever played with and against couldn't bench press anything, but they were great rugby players. Okay, so it's all a balance. Your training's a balance. Running, resistance training, and your skills training. And what most guys tend to do is they tend to train in the thing they're good at. If they're good at running, they'll be running all the time because they're good at it. If they're great at weights or something, they'll be doing weights all the time. And actually, the thing you need to do is obviously train at the thing you're not very good at.
Yeah.
So if you're not naturally aerobically fit, you need to be fit. If you're not naturally strong, then you can think about doing press-ups. And Kareem, have you done your 20 press-ups, Kareem?
He can't hear. He can't.
Things like press-ups are a great exercise.
Don't encourage our fitness coach Adam, because he says the game's all about fitness. Is he there?
Well, you've got a fitness coach. I never had a fitness coach, so I was a professional.
Yeah. No, he
Already
made
ahead of the
now.
game.
Yeah. So on a serious note, Charlie Warwick.
It's all being serious, Dan.
Yeah. Charlie, stick your thumbs up so Martin knows who you are. Affectionately known as Cato, because he's not one of our bigger players, but he's one of our bravest players.
He's a lunatic. What are we saying?
He is mad. Yes. So Charlie's concerned about a lot of the England players seem to come from the private school system.
Yeah.
And he wants to know if we should be concerned about that. Does that mean people who are in the state sector are basically going to be missing out?
No, I went to state school, man. I went to state school. When Neil Batt went to state school, Leon Lloyd went to state school. When we won it in 2003, we had more boys went to state school. All the front row was state school. Backy, Richard Hill, Ben Cohen. Ben Cohen didn't go to school.
No,
he still got there. So if you're at state school, yes, I played England schoolboys and nearly everyone was at private school. So they got great training. They trained like pros. They had great coaches and all the rest of it. But it doesn't make them better players. They just have better training. So, you know, they're in that system and they all get to play good games. If you want to be a good player, you will get there. If you want to work hard at it and do all that. So don't worry about that. You'll get knockbacks in life. Yeah, there'll be times when you don't get picked in squads and blah blah blah. Everyone goes through that. You just keep going. You just keep going. I know exactly what you mean because I was exactly the same. Coming through from state school, and all these guys, and they're very lucky. They're at great schools. They've got great facilities. They've got good coaches. They play good games against other teams and all the rest of it. And I played for a junior rugby club in Leicester called Wigston, and that was a different upbringing. But we had really good players there, and some of those guys went on to play first class rugby and all the rest of it. So I know what you're saying, but it doesn't make them any better. Trust me.
Simeon's done a bit of research. Simeon's with our hooker, who's found out that you're an NFL fan, and he is also. He would like to know, would you have made it in the NFL?
Would I have made it in the NFL?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably. One of my strengths was my fitness and my sort of aerobic fitness. So it's probably not an NFL thing. I don't know. If you grow up playing a sport and your body develops into that sport, I don't know. I like to think so in my own little world. You know.
And
who knows?
You want to know? Did you learn anything from American football that you think it contributed to your rugby career?
I played a little bit, and we used to train quite. The training was very regimented. American football training was very different to rugby. It's a very regimented game. It's not as good fun to play, even though you get to wear the helmet and everything. It's a very regimented game, and you got to do. Where rugby, you can use your brain and do stuff. So, but they trained well. They trained hard. They lifted weights and all those things. So, yeah, I did pick things up. I enjoyed it, but it's nowhere near as good a game for me as rugby to play. Rugby's far more involved.
Yeah.
You don't touch the ball. Some players don't touch the ball in American football. For 5 years.
There are some players in our team I wish wouldn't touch the ball for 5 years. Fabio, who's got an older brother in our age group, Fabio Ingray, he wants to know if you had any superstitions or rituals before you played a game.
I think not really superstitions, but I think your preparation is like a ritual, isn't it? You just get used to doing things the same way when you're in the when you're in the changing room. So nothing that if it got changed I'd worry, but you just got prepared mentally, and that's part of your mental preparation. So when you get changed at roughly the same time before kickoff, do things in the same order, and as you're doing that, you're sort of mentally building up to the game. So really, all the preparation is for your mental build up, getting yourself ready, because you know what time kickoff is, and you've got to be ready to go at kickoff, not 20 minutes later or 20 minutes before. So yeah, ritual probably more than superstition, and it's really part of the process of just getting yourself mentally ready.
Yeah,
not being all over the place and not having your boots tied up, when the referee calls you out.
So we've questions that actually there's 3 or 4 boys who've asked a similar question, and that's Noah, Max, and Luca, and they would like to know what advice would you have given yourself at 15 or 16 if you were standing next to you now?
Get a decent haircut. But I wish I had that big mop of hair now. I'd love that hair. No, but I think what I've said all the way through is good advice when you're your age. We do this thing because we enjoy it. We play rugby because we enjoy it. So do what you enjoy doing. If you want to train hard and try and be the best player you can be, great, go and do it. If you just want to go and train on club nights and see the lads, that's fine. That's fine. That's up to you. There's every level of rugby. You don't all have to go and do it. When you're 16, I'm sure you're all massively enthusiastic and want to do it, and that's brilliant. And crack on and enjoy doing it. So this is some of the best age group, some of the best rugby fun you'll have. Playing with kids all the same age is great. I'm still good mates with loads of the guys I played rugby at 15, 16. They're still the same idiots they were 25 years ago, and that's great.
One of the dads, Gavin Cornish, he was asking if professional rugby hadn't worked for you, did you have plan B? And also, if you had the magic wand, wanted to do something outside of sport, what would have that been?
Oh, what would I don't know. I was very lucky in many ways, many times, just to be right time, right place. So I know that. I knew it then, really. But then you have to take your opportunity. What would I have done outside of the game? I don't know. I think if I wasn't playing, I would have needed to find something to throw myself into. Because I went to work really just to pay the bills so I could play rugby when I was an amateur player. And I've confessed that to my former employers, and they said they knew. So they said they knew. They were very good to me and gave me loads of time off to go and play rugby. So I wasn't 100% committed.
You better tell them what that job was.
What's that?
You better tell them what that job was.
I worked for HSBC.
Which department?
One of the very low departments.
Come on, was it the return checks department, wasn't it? Didn't you have to ring?
I bounced your checks, dude. Yeah, I worked for them in Market Harbour in Leicester, yeah. But they were great to me. So
we have a question from Mum and Dad. Greg Edwards, who's 52. He would like to know if you would like to coach again.
No, I don't know, not really. I like watching my kids play. My boy's only 11, my daughter's 17, so I watch those. My weekends are fitting in, watching them, trying to ride my bike. So I don't know. We'll see. Probably not.
Yeah. And his wife, Lucy Edwards, age not disclosed, says, do you agree that professional rugby players are not as hard as past players from the amateur days.
She says what?
The professional rugby players aren't as hard as the amateur rugby players.
I got no comment on that.
So I've got a quick fire round for you.
Right.
Right. Okay. There's 10 questions. You ready?
Yeah.
A. Carduni or K. Bracken?
I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear. A. Carduni or K. Bracken?
Yeah.
They're both. I couldn't choose. They're both tremendous players. Kieran was a good player.
So
Kieran
Clive
was a good
Woodward.
player. So was Aadel.
All right, thank you. So Clive Woodward or Sir Ian McEachen?
Oh, these are so difficult. They're very, very different. They're very, very different in terms of what they are. So they're both good. I love Geach though.
American football or rugby?
Rugby's better to play.
3 current England players that you would pick in your team if you were the manager.
I think Owen's a very good player. Marrow is a very good player. Someone not from Saracens.
Manu. Manu.
It's always good to have a big Samoan.
Name.
With anything.
Yeah. Name 3 players from the home nations that you would pick in your England team.
Oh God. Current ones.
Yeah, go on. We'll let you have current ones.
Who's a good player? I suppose Alan Wynne-Jones has been a very good player. Might be getting a little bit past his best. Furlong's a good player in the Ireland. The tight end Ireland's a good player. Do I need to do a Scotsman to keep it fair?
Right, we have to be PC, yeah. Hogg, I guess.
Oh, Hamish Watson, actually. I think he's a good lad. The good thing with a guy like Hamish Watson, he gets the best out of everything he's got.
Yeah.
Not the biggest, not the quickest, but he's a guy who's committed and he gets the best out of what he's got, and that's all you can do.
Was more fun playing amateur rugby than it was playing professional rugby?
I enjoyed both because it didn't just change overnight, and we enjoyed both. I said at the start, you've got to enjoy what you do. So even when you do it professionally, you have to train a lot. You know, and I didn't want it to become a job. I didn't want it to be like going to work. Oh, I've got to go to work and be looking at the watch. What time do I finish? I always wanted to train and enjoy what I did. So I was lucky I can do that. So I enjoyed it all. And when I started questioning, am I still enjoying this? That's when I retired.
Yeah. Name a player that you did not enjoy playing against.
When I played in the 90s, Robin Brooke from New Zealand was a very, very good player. He's Zinzan Brooke's brother. So I probably only once maybe got the better of him as a player. So he was a very, generally when you play the All Blacks, there's some pretty decent guys. So he was a guy that I never really felt I got the better of the majority of the time. And he wasn't that big, he wasn't a huge second row. He was just a very, very good player, very skillful.
Madness or the Jam?
Madness or the Jam?
Yes.
I take the Jam. The kids don't know what you're even talking about.
Ooh, wow. Right, your final question. The all-time rushing leader in the NFL history.
All-time NFL rushing leaders, Emmitt Smith.
And for a bonus, how many yards?
Is he around 17,000?
18,355.
Okay. I rounded it up.
Right. So just for the last few minutes, we're going to pick, and I'm going to leave it to my team manager who's in the next room. If you want to ask Martin a question, stick your hand up. We'll unmute you and you can ask Martin a question. And we'll have, let's just say 5 questions. Lucky 5. All right. So Kate will pick. Can you hear me, Kate? Okay. Who are you going to unmute?
Who's BM at the bottom?
Oh, I'm BM.
Yeah, oh, that's
That's
He didn't
me.
even have a question. He
Charlie.
was looking out the window.
So my question is,
That's
obviously-
Teddy, by the way. Teddy, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And what position you play?
I play winger.
Teddy plays winger. A winger.
No wonder you're looking out the window, Teddy.
One who's looking out the window.
What's your question?
You need to mute yourself.
Muted. All right. Hello, can you hear me?
Right.
I can't hear anyone, Del.
I can't hear. I can hear you. Meant to be Teddy, yeah. Here we go. Teddy, off you go.
Okay, so my question was, so obviously you're the England captain, and you won the World Cup. So how does it feel to like essentially get to the highest possible level you could have got to in like rugby there is? How did it feel to like lift up the trophy and be part of that?
Yeah, I guess after we'd done it, because there's a lot of pressure and you don't want to get there and lose it. So immediately when you do it, it's a relief that you've won it. And then a great deal of satisfaction. It's probably one of the few times really in your career, because you always, the thing with rugby, there's always a game, even at the end of the season, the next season comes quickly or the next week comes quickly. And you always got to sort of forget about the bad performances and the good performances in a way and just move on to the next one. Use it to always try and be better. So it's one of the few times in your life you can stop and go, wow, that was good. And we achieved what we wanted to do. And it ultimately gives you a sense of satisfaction that you did it. And then when you hear about other people enjoying watching it and all the rest of it, then it gives you another sense of sort of pride that people enjoyed it. And, you know, that lots of people really had a great time watching it. So lots of emotions, but ultimately a great deal of satisfaction that you tried to do something, the most difficult thing to do in rugby, and ultimately you did it.
Noah, next, please.
When you were like our age, so 15, 16, like what point in rugby were you, and at what point in like what age were you when you realised that you were going to make it to like first class rugby?
Like you have to say like 3 times in it. Like Noah. When I was 15, 16, I played for county schoolboys and I played for regional schoolboys, Midlands, and I didn't get in the England team. I was a number 8. I thought I was a number 8. I didn't get picked in the England team when I was 16. Someone else did, who I don't know. So it was a bit of a blow, you know. You sort of think, oh, but then I moved to the second row and went on from there. When do you think you're going to make it? I don't think you probably ever think, oh, I've made it, because even when you get picked in the England team, and then you regularly get picked in the England team, there's always someone wanting to come up and take your position or outplay you. So every training session, every game, there's always someone trying to beat you. So I think if you ever think you've made it, that's when you probably get knocked back down. So I went to New Zealand, I played over there a bit, and I went through the age groups and all that sort of thing. But I don't think you ever really think you've made it, because you're always trying to improve. That's the good thing. You're always trying to get better. Or, you know, even when you've won the championship with Leicester or whatever, everyone's trying to knock you off. So the pressure in a way only gets bigger. So I played England under 18 schoolboys, but lots of guys have done that and not gone to play beyond that. But even doing that is an achievement and something to be proud of. So I think, like I said, Noah, just try and be the best player you can be and enjoy playing your rugby. Playing at your age now is some of the best fun you'll have. Believe me, some of the best fun you'll have.
Adam, did you have a question? Adam Kearney? Hang on. Hold on, you're not unmuted yet. Okay.
Hello, Martin. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
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 Great to speak to you. So the question I've got, Martin, is before a hard training session, be it in the gym or out running or on the pitch, if you wasn't feeling 100% committed to it, did you have like a little trick or a ritual that you'd go through to get yourself into the mood of, you know, really training hard? Because you don't always feel like training hard, do you?
Yeah, great question. I've just been out doing a session with my daughter who didn't feel like doing this running session.
He's been muted. Hang on. Hang on, John.
Yeah, I've unmuted.
You're back on.
You hear me now?
Yeah, you're just about to talk about Molly.
Well, yeah, so you're talking about when you don't feel great for a game or a training session. They're the days you've really got to concentrate and put it in. Because if you can go, and you're right, we don't always feel 100% or really feel like it sometimes. But that's when you've got to go, right, mentally, you get stuck into it. And often they'll turn into your best sessions because it's tough. You've really got to dig in and get into it. But if you come at the end of it and you think, I felt terrible for whatever reason, and sometimes you will never know why you felt terrible mentally or physically, but I actually got in there and did a session, or I played well, or I did my job, I stuck in there, they're the best sessions. Because it's easy, when you feel great and it's all going well, it's easy. When you don't feel so good and it's tough, they're the days you just got to dig in and mentally go, come on, you know, I don't need to let people down, let my teammates down, or whatever it is, and go and do the session. And the hardest thing with any session is starting it. The hardest thing with any session is going out the door and starting it. Once you get into it, you'll actually find most of the time you go, you know, you raise up, you feel better doing it. And by the end of it, you can say, right, I felt terrible, but I put a decent session in, I put a good session in, and they're the best sessions. Because when everything's going your way, it's like a game. If you win a game 36-0, everyone looks great. You're all fantastic. When you're losing 12-3 in the mud and the rain, that's when you need people to stand up and do their job. So just same with training. You know, when you don't feel like it, that's the opportunity to do the best session. You know, because that's mentally a discipline to do it.
Thank you. Simeon, did you have a
Great
question?
question.
Is that yes, Simeon?
Yeah, I did. First of all, it's an honour speaking to you. Secondly,
Thank you, Sim. But you see me every week anyway.
what are the differences and similarities between the ways that you mentally prepared the night before a game and the just a few minutes before the games?
Sim, yeah, you're sort of building up, aren't you? You know, if I was playing a test match, then you're building up for the biggest games, and we'd have a way of preparing, a way of training in the week, and as part of that preparation, you know, I'd sort of know where I needed to be on a Monday and then a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And we'd have Thursday off when I played. Thursday would be our complete day off. So that would be a day to try and not think about it too much. Try and take your day off physically and mentally. It would always be there in the back of your head somewhere and would sometimes jump into your conscious. And then Thursday night, you know, when you go to bed, you're going to wake up Friday morning with train. So it's all a preparation. Training session, then come down off it. Next training session, come down. Friday morning we'd train, and then everyone's getting a bit nervous because the game's coming. Then we'd have Friday afternoon off. Then we'd meet Friday evening, and then the nerves would really start to be there because you're getting closer to the game, and by Saturday everyone's feeling the tension. But you sort of use that just to learn how to prepare yourself. Yeah, but part of that is also coming down. So sometimes you just need to try and forget about the game. Yeah, don't overthink it. Okay, so you have a time when you think about it, then you have a time when you stop thinking about it. If you can.
Alex,
then mentally clear your mind. But as you get to game day, depending on what time you're kicking off, and you'll mainly be afternoons or mornings, I'd have thought, then just build up during the day. You don't want to go too early and be racing around and mentally peak too early. It was always tough playing evening games because you had a long wait. You know, if you're playing at 8 o'clock at night, it's a long day waiting for the game. So you'd almost split the day in half and get up, train a little bit lightly, have lunch, and then maybe sleep after lunch for an hour. And when you wake up, it's like the morning, and you get ready for the game. So you've just got to learn what works for you. It's different for different people. What works for you, how hyped up you are before the game. Some guys are more relaxed, some guys are more hyped. What works for you in terms of getting ready to perform? You just got to learn it. Try different things, and learn what works for you.
Alex, did you have a question? Okay.
Hi, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Alex.
I play second row for OGs, and I'd like to ask you how did you how did you keep fit when you were younger, and how do you keep fit now? Like, what's the difference between it?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, there wasn't the knowledge, wasn't about as much of training and how to train, and now there's almost too much about, isn't there? There's everyone wants to be the guru and tell you how to do it. I think fundamentally we just used to run to get fit. As I said earlier, my mum was an athlete, so I learned about interval training and all that sort of thing. As a second row, you're a jack of all trades. So you got to have a good aerobic fitness. You've got to be strong. You've got to have, ideally have a good jump, be powerful, and all those things. So sometimes you can't master all those things. Rugby's you can't be the master of all those things. Get yourself as fit as you can get and as strong as you can get, and go from there, really. So interval running, I used to quite enjoy that. I was quite good at it. I quite enjoy it. The short intervals are harder when you're big, second rows, long legs, heavy, getting yourself moving. But that's what the game's about. It's often getting off the floor, getting into stride and getting places, getting low. It's an aerobic game, so aerobic training. Later on, when we had the rowing machines, I used to work on those a lot, to do some very, very tough, hard sessions on there. And then when we got into proper weightlifting, learning how to squat and do cleans and all those things, doing those big, strong lifts as well. I don't know if you guys are into that yet.
Well, this is going to be, that's an interesting point you bring, because some of the boys are very keen to go to the gym and do and lift weights, but I always say to them, that's fine as long as they do it properly and under supervision and concentrate on their technique. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, there's lots of ways with all training. There's lots of different ways how to do it, and with weight training, there's a huge risk of you hurting yourself, because everyone wants to lift too heavy. Everyone wants to put more weight on the bar. Everyone wants to pump up their muscles and look huge. If you ever want to lift weights, you need really, really good supervision, advice to learn, as Aadel said, the technique. It's all about learning a good technique, safe technique. Otherwise, you will hurt yourself, especially at any age. Never mind your young age. So you've got a fitness guy, go with what he does. But press ups, all those sort of things are great exercises. There's lots of things you can do without even lifting weights, resistance stuff you can do if you want to get stronger. But the emphasis when I was younger was all on running, and probably too much on distance aerobic training, not anaerobic training. So yeah, there's a huge amount of advice there, and I don't think I knew a fitness instructor until the late 90s. They didn't exist. They just did not exist in the 80s. No one was a fitness instructor unless you're in the army.
I'm going to wrap this up, John.
I've got my teas ready.
Yeah, I know. Obviously this is a very surreal time for all of us.
Yeah, man.
And if you put yourself, just going back 30 years ago when you were playing and this situation occurred, what would you have done? How would you have gone about keeping yourself going and maintaining your fitness and, more than anything else, your sanity?
Well, I think doing the training will help you with your. I always feel better for getting out and doing something. I was lucky. I lived opposite a school. My mum was a teacher there, so we'd go and train on that on the school fields, and there was a track there, so she'd drag me out on only a grass track, we go out there and run. So yeah, if you can get out in your once a day. I know you guys, some of you guys maybe live in the city, but if you can find some space and just run around, get your ball out, kick it around, do whatever, and you know, enjoy that. Put some running sessions in there if you fancy it, but just get out and run around with the ball. The more you can get the ball in your hands or whatever it is, football, cricket, tennis ball, just get out there and when you can, if you can, and do what you can do.
Thank you very much. Thanks for giving up your time to chat to the boys. I'm sure they've really appreciated it.
Well, I'd have been sat here anyway, Del. I just wouldn't have been talking to everyone. I'd just been sat here by myself.
So, and I'm sure they'll take a lot away from it. And believe it or not, we've got a fitness session after we say goodbye to you. So we're doing.
Who's taking that?
Adam, our fitness coach.
Where is he?
He's there. Adam. Just put his thing that thumbs up, waving.
Oh, okay.
So,
Enjoy, boys.
Is he lying or is he?
So I think, Kate, have you unmuted everybody? Right, I think everybody's been unmuted. So say thank you to Jono and
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Thank
you.
You guys go well. Be good.
Thank you.
Okay, boys. Enjoy that tea. Next on the post.
I've done my session. I've done my training session. I have.
Okay, mate. All right, mate. Enjoy. Speak to
Go
you
well,
later.
boys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Keep safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martin.